Let's talk about racism. It's a topic that many people tend to shy away from. It makes folks uncomfortable to open up about racism, but the curtains were pulled back on Generation W's online show Refresh. Dr. Richmond Wynn, who's the director of the Mental Health Counseling Center at the University of North Florida, offers some coping advice in times of anxiety and conflict like we're experiencing now amid the pandemic and more visible acts of racism.
All of us need to acknowledge the traumatic nature of both experiencing racist acts and witnessing it.
Wynn pulled back the curtain during this candid Refresh conversation, explaining what he says many African American men, women, and children battle.
The second guessing, feeling lonely, disconnected, the hypervigilance, constantly being on guard. And imagine constantly operating at a heightened sense of awareness. That is, in and of itself, is taxing.
He explains that could lead to depression, anxiety, substance abuse, and eating disorders.
There's decreased trust. We're not sure who to trust. And so everybody becomes suspect. There's certainly people that we think look like the perpetrators and the promoters of racism.
Wynn says it's important for everyone to understand what they're feeling during these trying times and take care of your mental health hygiene. Brush your heart, floss your brain, don't believe everything you think, take the mask off your ears, and examine your bias.
You have fear of people who don't look like you, or you get anxious around people who don't look like you or who are different from you. That's an opportunity to look more closely at what's in your heart.
There's some pretty good advice. Now, leading up to Generation W's virtual Women's Leadership Experience on September 11th, we're giving you a snapshot at conversations during the Refresh Weekly online show. It's every Wednesday on Gen W's Facebook page.